The fight for limited government, lower taxes, and a freer society is a long and arduous cause, and it's one that never really ends. But it's a cause worth fighting for. The future of Texas's economic miracle depends upon our willingness to fight. And like our forefathers, you never know when victory is right around the corner.
Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us today as we remember and celebrate the life of our friend and colleague, Ross Kecseg. I'm Brandon Waltons, Managing Editor of Texas Scorecard, with Michael Quinn Sullivan, the publisher of Texas Scorecard. And I think it's first important to note, and you noted this earlier this week when we got the news, that Ross would have absolutely hated all of this.
Yeah. There's nothing about this that I'm not making this up, Brandon. As I was driving in this morning, I honestly kept waiting for my phone to ring and for Ross to be saying, "Now, Michael, let's talk about what you guys are about to do." And that very calm, patient voice in which he said, it's kind of the voice of reason in the organization. He would say, "Do we really need to make it about us? Do we really need to make it about me? Do we really need to make it about us today?" And that was ringing in my ears. All I could think was, I think I would have just had to hang up on him at that point.
Yeah, it would have been a very light suggestion.
Yeah, very light suggestion.
As you're watching this, by the way, if you want to drop in the comments maybe some of your memories of Ross. I know he touched a lot of people's lives across the state, and certainly have seen some stories of that over the last couple days. I know you've kind of been looking through and seeing. I mean, it's just amazing the impact that he's had on folks that not just conservative activists, but just pretty much anybody who met him, right?
Yeah. And we should probably apologize here on the outset. I'm not sure that either one of us are going to be fully capable of reading your comments on there. I have gone very carefully through things you've already said, and so I think I can quote these folks and get through them. But I'm not sure, Brandon, that you and I are going to be capable today of doing too much on the fly, as it were. For those of you who did not know, were not really aware of what we're talking about here, Ross Kecseg passed away earlier this week after a fight with cancer and some related illnesses to that. 36 years old. He leaves behind, is survived by his amazing wife, Amy, who I got to talk to again this morning, and their son, Liam. Liam, by the way, very appropriately for the son of Ross Kecseg, had been born on Texas Independence Day a couple of years ago. Very cool. I'm always a little bit jealous of that.
Yeah.
But Ross has been with us for a long time and served as our president now for the past several years. Again, kind of providing that calm voice of reason in a lot of ways. Background in economics, background in sales. Who we first met. I mean, he was just a guy who used his day jobs, Brandon, to subsidize this passionate conviction that more citizens need to be involved in the political process and understand local government. And that's how we first met him. And it was great to be able to have him come on board as a partner in all this and be working with him.
Yeah, I think I saw it was Matt Rinaldi, who's a former state representative up from Irving, where Ross used to live for a time. And he said, it was several years back, ET, Empower Texans at the time, was looking to bring someone into the Metroplex, and Matt said, well, there's this guy who's really smart, and he's doing this all the time, and he should not be doing this for free at this point. I mean, literally, he was doing, exactly the stuff that he was getting eventually, kind of paid to do, which was to go and kind of educate activists on things like property taxes and actually go and fight City Hall and all those things. And so it was definitely more than just a job for Ross.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was, if you weren't talking with Ross about Amy or Liam, the conversation was going to be about local government, about state government, about ways citizens can be. I mean, it's just, those were kind of the three big things. Of course, all of which motivated very unabashedly by his faith in Christ, by his desire for people to live more complete lives, where their beliefs and their activism and their business life and their family life and everything were lived together. And that was always a very, very fun thing about Ross. He was not, he would talk to you as openly about, having a baby spitting up on his shoulder as he would want to talk about the details of property taxes in any particular city, and all of which he grasped with a passion because it was all important, because it was all about life.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I was looking back at some of his Facebook posts over the last couple of weeks, and I think not 2 weeks ago, he's sharing an old memory of working with grassroots citizens to defeat a tax hike a few years back in Plano, saying, isn't defeating property tax hikes fun? I mean, this was something, literally that he really, really actually enjoyed. Again, wasn't just a job,
right.
A 9-to-5 thing. This was something he really, really loved to do.
Yeah, Holly Snyder Freely wrote, and I love this, Texas has lost a great warrior for the cause of truth, liberty, freedom, and justice. I'm truly going to miss him. His faith in God was always in the forefront of all he did. And it was similar to Buddy Saunders, a great businessman from Tarrant County, who wrote, I knew Ross from my Tea Party days and contending with local government. He'll be missed, a great, wise, honorable man. And those are... I thought I could do this, Brandon.
Yeah.
Very much words that describe our friend Ross Kecseg, and going to continue to be very inspiring to us as a great friend and a great colleague.
Absolutely. I was kind of thinking about, what are the memories I have of Ross? And, I can tell you, the work we do, Texas Scorecard specifically, as well as anybody, Michael, that you can show that a politician does something. Maybe you write something about it. And a lot of times they're not too happy that you made that public. And I kind of think back to a time when I had an article, that exposed something that a politician was doing. I'll leave them nameless for the purposes here, but they start calling him and kind of raising hell, and you need to take this down. And Ross didn't throw me under the bus, right? He could have. Instead, he kind of gave it right back to him, and and we kind of laughed about how wow, it's amazing that these politicians don't like being held accountable. But that was Ross, right? I mean, very, very loyal, not just to the team here at Texas Scorecard, but also to the principles that we're fighting alongside grassroots activists for.
Yeah, and I think Ross truly enjoyed just meeting people and being with people. And we joke that me and Dustin Matoka and a couple others are borderline misanthropes, but Ross was a complete opposite. Ross just absolutely enjoyed meeting folks. And I was sharing this with you yesterday afternoon, Ross, Brandon. One of my favorite memories. This is April 2014. Ross and I had to be in Washington, D.C. for some meetings, and April 1st, appropriately, it was the 6-month anniversary of Barack Obama signing into law Obamacare. And if memory serves, we were actually up there for some meetings about Obamacare and some ways to fight it. And so Ross and I said, we'll go walk past the White House, and we'll do those kind of, touristy kind of things when we were up there, kind of kill some time. And as we were kind of coming around the bend, we didn't really know that there was a big ceremony on, but later realized that was Obama giving a speech in the Rose Garden. Right. And there's this gaggle of Democrat congressmen coming out, and Ross kind of says, "Oh, hey, look, there's," and he names off the Democrat congressmen who they were vaguely familiar to me. And he looked at me and said, "Hey, I'm a C-SPAN nerd," And then he walked over and said hello to them, and literally made these guys' day that someone, some lowly, Democrat congressman from not Texas was recognized.
Yeah, some no-name person.
And so anyway, it was great fun. I love that memory of his just saying, "Hey, I'm a C-SPAN nerd," So anyway, that was our Ross Kecseg.
Absolutely, it's so illustrative. I mean. Even over the last few months and really the last year as he battled his health problems, right? I think it's been said he could have had, if he wanted, a year-long pity party.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead, literally, up until the last days was calling folks, not just on our team here at Texas Scorecard, but I've heard from other people outside the organization, calling them, asking them, what he could be praying to them for, how he could be encouraging them. And just, I think that's really, really illustrative, right, of his motivations. and especially as it relates to the work that he did with our organization.
Yeah, and again, you saw that in some of the different comments that received the kind of lasting impact Ross made on folks. Jason Ferguson wrote, "I grew up with Ross, but lost track as people do," he writes. "When I moved back to Dallas last year after being appointed as an immigration judge, I reached out to him. I'd followed him and watched him rise up through the years, always proud to know him." Ross has had a way of attracting folks, and in large part because he was very genuine. He didn't pretend, in politics, in media. It's very easy to come across folks who are more than happy to be something that they're not. And in fact, most of media, most of politics are folks who take some degree of perverse pride in being what they're not. Ross was always happy to be exactly who he was. And I'll just note this about our friend Amy Kecseg. She was one of those who I think more than most was able to help strengthen and mold Ross even more. And it's very fun to watch their relationship. They met because of a nice office sharing arrangement that we had early on when he was in the Metroplex office. How they met, and so having Amy as part of that growth is something that we can't overestimate. That's why we at Empower so appreciate Amy and Liam. One thing that we're going to be doing, announced here, we don't have yet the links and everything set up. A number of folks have inquired about a memorial fund to benefit Amy and Liam as a way to honor Ross and keep his legacy alive through them. That memorial fund will be set up hopefully today, and when it is set up, we'll put a link here for folks to use. We'll probably be using GoFundMe. That's the easiest, and that way it ensures that 100% of the contributions go to Amy and Liam are made available to them. So if it's when we get that set up, of course, lawyers, got to make sure you do everything right. But we will have that up and try to post a link here in the video. But we'll also note it in the Texas Minute and up on our website and other things. The Pericles, who's the great Greek statesman and soldier, one of my favorite quotes from him, "What you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others." And I'm absolutely convinced that Pericles was looking a couple thousand years down the road and seeing a guy like Ross Kecseg, who very much wove his life into lots of other people's, and that's what we want to make sure that we keep going in his life and honoring Ross and his commitment and his devotion to Texas and to good public policy, and most importantly to Texans, as a man who believed that the most important thing he can do is impact people's lives.
Absolutely. Well, I think if we go a little longer, I don't know if I'll be able to go much longer on this. I think actually if Ross was here, he'd be telling us to cut it
cut it out
right at
stop,
the beginning.
Stop,
but again, if you have any memories of Ross, if you got a chance, were blessed enough to meet him or count him as a friend, please drop those in the comments and share them. For right now, thank you for joining us this morning, and please join us and continue to pray for Ross's family during this time.
Thank you.